Pressure in Washington is growing to balance our budget, but should it be balanced on the backs of our nation's heroes, those who are serving? Pete Hegseth, CEO of Concerned Veterans for America, is here to respond. So they're cutting pensions, and you thought rather than just act outraged, let's put something together to find money to refund those pensions.
That's exactly right. There's leaders in Congress right now trying to find solutions to these pensions without just screaming the sky is falling. I worked on an op-ed with Duncan Hunter, a Iraq and Afghanistan veteran from California, to say, okay, we're defense-minded, we're hawkish, we want to maintain a strong military, but these COLA cuts are bad. How can we do it? So we laid out a couple
cuts,
meaning the military pension cuts, the reductions to military pension. You don't balance budgets that way. There are smarter ways to do it. So we've looked at proactive ways like, say, auditing the Pentagon. The Pentagon's books have never been audited. So if you don't know where the waste is, how do you cut it? How do you find it?
I mean, do you go in there with just accountants, or do you need a military mind to go in there?
Well, I think you need an army of accountants. To be clear, I mean, this is an incredibly complex department, but I do think it helps when someone like Duncan Hunter is shining a spotlight and oversight who understands how the military works.
Right. Also, you talk about reforming the retirement benefits.
Yeah, I mean, the way they did the cuts to pension, it was a chop. It was what Washington does. No smart thinking about it, but there are needs, the ways we have to reform that. Because right now, the personnel and healthcare system of the Pentagon is growing so large, we're squeezing out warfighting capabilities. So let's look at that military pension system for those who haven't joined the military yet, or look at a 401k style vehicle for some that serve. Take that Navy SEAL who only does 8 years but 7 deployments, gets out, doesn't have anything. Why can't he vest earlier so that he leaves with something when he leaves the military?
And also there should be something for the special forces that'll maybe a little bit different. Hence
Absolutely. The guy who does that 7 tours, it's all great service, but it's different than someone who wasn't out
As you
there.
know, sometimes it's 20.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, reform the acquisition process. What do you mean?
Meaning, right now, concept to combat of a weapon system takes decades of time and billions in cost override. So it's an antiquated process from the Eisenhower era, actually, that means the weapon systems we get that I see in combat are usually outdated by the time they get there, and they cost way too much. It's because there's so much red tape and so much bureaucracy. Everybody tries to do it. We need leadership at the top of the Defense Department to push something like that.
And we have manufacturing in my state of weapons maybe are outdated, but I don't want to stop that manufacturing in my state, and I got some power, so I bring it back. Now, Bernie Sanders says, of Vermont, the Independent, says, I got a better idea. Let's throw some money into the pension system. But you have a problem with whether he's getting the money.
That's right. So Bernie Sanders has introduced a veterans bill, $30 billion bill, not paid for is a problem. But the bigger problem that we have is they're trying to pay for it with war funds, with overseas contingency operations. It just doesn't pass the smell test for me that we're going to fund veterans programs by taking from the warfighter. No, we're still in a shooting war in Afghanistan, and they better have everything they need. Let's find a way to fund veterans' priorities, but why in the world would we do it on the back of those still serving?
All right, some solid ideas, and instead of just complaining, you're taking action. Duncan Hunter and his dad have given a lot to the military. Thanks a lot, Pete.